Paul going to the Clippers with 2 future second-round picks, Eric Gordon, Chris Kaman, Al-Farouq Aminu, and an unprotected 2012 first-round pick from Minnesota going to the New Orleans Hornets. Here now, the special NBA conference call regarding this Hornets-Clippers trade with David Stern, Jack Sperling, Hugh Weber, Del Dents, and many media members.
David Stern, Hornets Chairman Jack Sperling, Hornets President Hugh Weber, and Hornets General Manager Del Dents. The 4 participants will all have some opening comments. They will be glad to take any questions you might have. We'll start with Hornets President Hugh Weber. Hugh?
Thanks, Tim. The New Orleans Hornets are pleased to announce a trade with the Los Angeles Clippers today that will give the Hornets the rights to forward Al-Farouq Aminu, guard Eric Gordon, center Chris Kaman, and a 2012 first-round pick in exchange for Chris Paul and 2 2015 second-round picks. The 2012 first-round pick coming to the Hornets will be the more favorable between Minnesota Timberwolves or the Los Angeles Clippers picks. Del?
Today's a big day for the New Orleans Hornets. It's bittersweet. We're saying goodbye to Chris Paul. I'd like to thank Chris Paul, Jada, and his family for everything that they've done for our franchise, and more importantly, to our community. We wish Chris the best. He's a gentleman, and he will be dearly missed. But on the sweet part, the future is bright. We're bringing in some young players that are going to be very exciting, hard-playing. I think our fans are going to be very, very excited. We're going to continue to put a product on the floor that the city of New Orleans can be proud to call its own. We're excited. We're excited to have a young player in Al-Farouq Aminu, a young player that's exciting and will make plays that'll get the fans on their feet. And Eric Gordon, we're excited to have the big-time scorer, and Chris Kaman, the veteran. The future is bright for the New Orleans Hornets. Thank you.
This is Jack Sperling, the chairman of the New Orleans Hornets. I don't have much to add from what Hugh and Del have said, except to say thank you very much to those 2 gentlemen, Del Dents and Hugh Weber, who have done a spectacular job in helping us achieve the future of the New Orleans Hornets. I really thank you both. Also want to thank greatly the league office, especially Stu Jackson, Executive Vice President of Basketball Operations, for everything he did. It's been a yeoman's task, and we really appreciate everything that Stu did, and of course, the commissioner as well. We greatly appreciate all the efforts that he's delivered on to make sure the New Orleans Hornets are going to be a team that's going to have a great future. David?
This is David. There seems to be some confusion this week about the NBA's ownership of the Hornets and how it relates to this situation. And I'd like to take this opportunity to clarify that, with apologies for not clarifying it sooner, but I didn't think it was appropriate for me to comment until we completed this transaction. About a year ago, the Hornets were in serious trouble. There were issues about payroll. There were issues about the team's viability in New Orleans. And I said to the Board of Governors, I said to them, I never thought I would be recommending what I'm about to recommend, but I believe that the league should purchase the Hornets in order to both complete the season and maintain the team's viability in New Orleans. The board said yes. They unanimously at the first meeting approved that, and off we were. I will say to you that the circumstances under which we bought the team and the management structure that was approved by the board was that Jack Sperling would be responsible for ensuring that the team was operated within a budget that must be approved by the Audit and Compensation Committee, but that any transactions outside the ordinary course of business and all transactions involving players and coaches required the approval of the commissioner or his designee. And in that context, I was, operating as any as the highest ranking executive of the owner of the New Orleans Hornets. And that's the way we have always worked with this team in terms of signing off on transactions, player transactions that were recommended by Hugh and by Dell and by Jack. And it was in that capacity that we have been functioning here with respect to ownership of the New Orleans Hornets. I was not and have not been acting under any broad mandate of the commissioner to approve or disapprove trades. Our sole focus was and will remain until we sell this team, hopefully, which will be in the first half of 2012, is how best to maintain the Hornets, make them as attractive and competitive as we can, and ensure that we have a buyer that will keep them in New Orleans. And in that regard, we've worked with the mayor of New Orleans, Mitch Landrieu. We've worked with the governor of Louisiana, Bobby Jindal. We've worked with the corporate community. We've had discussions with cable companies who will carry the games that have increased coverage of the team. And of course, we've been dealing directly with the fans who have now, as it was announced last week, purchased well over 10,000 season tickets. So we're dealing with what we expect will be record season tickets, record sponsorship, increased cable revenue, and hopefully a renewal of the lease that will assure, after we finish, after the first of the year, discussions with the governor and the legislature, that will assure the continuity of the New Orleans Hornets in Louisiana. I would just say, a couple of other things, and that is that I know there's been a fair amount of comment about an email that I received from Dan Gilbert. I assure all that first, my decision was made long before I received that email, and second, I wouldn't have acted upon it even if I had received it, because my goal here was to determine what improved the Hornets. There's been some speculation that there was a reason why I did not want to have Chris go to a team in a large market, because that would somehow have some impact on life under the collective bargaining agreement. All I can say there is that's not the responsibility that I undertook as the person responsible for ultimately for making decisions on transactions like this on behalf of the New Orleans Hornets. This is the protocol that was used when the NHL had to take over the Coyotes and the Stars, in both of those cases in bankruptcy, and I believe this is what baseball did when they took over the Montreal Expos. I'm not positive, I'm pretty sure I remember that. And that's the responsibility that I had. It wasn't my first choice, but it's the job that I undertook after discussion with the owners. There was some discussion, actually, about the other teams becoming involved in transactions like this. And on balance, it was the view of our committees and mine that for competitive reasons, NBA teams should not have a role in approving player and coach transactions, that the role is better played by the commissioner. Not my favorite role, but I did it. And the reason I didn't feel free to comment previously was that I was not and would not comment on the merits of particular players involved in a trade. not better. I am saying that it is our belief, Dell, Jack, Hugh, and the Commissioner's office, that the proposed transaction that we have tonight is a very good transaction and better for the future of the Hornets and their future in New Orleans than the transaction on which I did not sign off, I guess 4 business days ago. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions, and I know that Jack and Hugh and Dell share that willingness.
Colin, if you could explain to the media how they can ask a question, please.
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a question at this time, please press star then 1 on your phone. There will be a tone indicating you have placed your line in queue. You may remove yourself from queue at any time by pressing the pound key. And please, if you're using a speakerphone, please pick up the handset before pressing the numbers. One moment, please.
And Colin, I would just like to say, folks, when you're called on, when your line is open, if you could identify yourself with affiliation, that would be very helpful. Thank you.
And our first question is from the line of Howard Beck. Please go ahead.
Hey, everybody. David, question just about the last thing you touched on. What about this deal in particular was attractive that the last deal, or the deal that was not accepted, as you put it last week, what was it about that deal lacked